This is RRJ Online Academy. This is Rasul and welcome to this writing course. In this video, we are going to take a look at an essay that a student of mine has sent me. It is basically a TOEFL IBT independent essay. We are going to check it together and I'm going to give feedback on the essay. Now the question is this, some people get advice from their family, others get advice from their friends. Which one do you prefer? Why? Please provide specific details and examples to support your position. So the task and the question. First, let us take a general look at the essay. The student has written 461 words. Now, if you take a general look, you will immediately realize that this is the introduction, this is the support, but the problem is the support 1 is much shorter than support 2. This is improportionate, and the raters do not like this. You have to dedicate the same or nearly the same space to both support paragraphs. If you have 3, the same with the third one. Now, the introduction and conclusions are fine. They don't have to be so long. I don't care if they are even shorter than this, but I do care about this, so this is a problem. And without even starting to read, I can promise you that there is a problem with this paragraph. The idea is not well developed here. You cannot develop and support your idea in such a short paragraph. Now, first things first, let's start with the introduction paragraph. Again, this is the central sentence. Some people get advice from their family, others get advice from their friends. Which one do you prefer? And let's see what this student, her name is Aitan. Let's see what Aitan has answered. Well, she says life and its experiences accumulate from beginning to the present and create different culture. Okay, either there should be this here, or we should put an S at the end of culture. So I'm gonna use a color code, Aitan. The blue means I added, red means delete, or sometimes I will use crossouts like this. You will see. All right, the second sentence says, this culture affects the decisions we make in our life journey. All right, so far we are 2 sentences into the essay and she's setting the background. She's giving some background information. The third sentence and the last one in this paragraph, in making these decisions, from whom we get advice, this culture can also be decisive. All right, there's a problem with the sentence. First, we have to delete one of these spaces here. Second, okay, if you watched the video on concision, and I highly encourage you to watch, you will know that there is a problem here. So we said in the concision video that in the modern academic writing, we do not like lengthy sentences. Say what you want to say as short as possible and as simple as possible. How can we shorten this? Well, very easy. Get rid of all and use the verb in ing form. Actually, we can even get rid of this in, so we are left with that. Deciding something, I'm gonna put a comma here. From whom get advice, this culture can also be decisive. Okay, this part needs help, it's not understandable. I think what she's trying to say that it is important to know from whom we're getting advice. So let's put it into words. Deciding something, Deciding something, the person from whom we get advice is important. Okay, this is the end of the sentence. So you see how short and clear the sentence got. If I am to copy this, paste it here, get rid of the extra parts, bingo. Look at that sentence and compare it with this one. Almost half, and very clear, very direct. Deciding something, the person from whom we get advice is important. I have discussed this in my clarity, concision, and cohesion videos. When you write, you're not writing to yourself, you're writing to other people, and not everyone is in the same level. So you have to make it as plain as possible for the reader. Your target audience should not be the well-educated PhD students. Your target audience should be people who come to universities from high school level. So don't make the texts feel painful for them. Make their job easy. Keep it short, keep it simple. Now, back to business. I'm gonna get rid of this. I made my point here. Okay, in Aitan's essay, the introduction paragraph is done here, but this is a problematic paragraph. As you can see, out of the 3 sentences, 2 of them are background. And actually the third one is a lead-in, and she has not yet answered the question. So there is no thesis statement, there is no reasons or main points for her answer. So which one do you prefer, Aitan? Not clear yet. Yes, it is optional and you can totally do it in the support paragraphs, but I highly encourage you to give your position in the introduction paragraph. Make it clear what your position is. I don't need to go through 2-3 paragraphs to understand what your position is. Give me what you want to say in the beginning and then move on. So how can we fix that? We're gonna get back here after we read the support paragraphs, because I first need to know what she's arguing for. Now, support paragraph number 1. In my local culture and in my family members often get advice their parents, including me. So this sentence needs help. Let's fix it. I suppose what she's trying to say is that in her culture and in her family members, people often get advice from their parents. So I'm gonna get people here. Also, Aitan, culture already means something local, so you don't need to add this local here. Get rid of it. In my culture and in my family members, again, family would be enough because you're including culture and your family here. We don't need to talk about individuals. People often get advice from their parents, including me. You could basically get including me up here, but I'm not going to be so strict about it. In addition to watching TV, reading a book, we grow up by listening to the life experience of adults, parents, neighbors, relatives, etc. There should be an H here. Okay, what is she trying to say here? At that time, I spent much time with my friends and got their advice. The decisive factor was what my parents think. All right, so she's trying to say here that when she was growing up, she was using advice from her parents. Now, I ask Aitan and people watching this, is this paragraph a convincing one? Let's say, because whatever you write, you should always consider this. The person who would be reading this is gonna have opposite views to that of mine. So by writing this, will I be able to convince that person who opposes my thinking? Is this enough? Well, no, this paragraph is not convincing at all. How can we fix this? before I answer that question, I need to do some little bit of surgeries in the already stated sentences, then I will tell you how. Now you keep thinking about how we can fix this paragraph. This should be capital. I spent much time with my friends and got their advice. The decisive factor was what my parents think. Now, Aytan, here you're using the past form. Here you're using the past form. So this should also be the past form. All right, Aytan, you're arguing that when you were growing up, you were getting advice from your friends and from your family, but the decisive one was that of your family. But you do not tell us why the advice you got from your family was more important and was more decisive than your friends' advice. Because we need to see that. Like just saying, look, I got advice from my family, goodbye. That's not going to be enough. So you're going to have to tell me why the advice you got from your family was much, much more important than that of your friends. So a question for you. I'm gonna fix this paragraph. So this is the question. Why was your family's advice more important than your friends' advice? To save you time, I already typed the answer. I'm just gonna copy and paste it here. Aytan, you could fix this paragraph like this. So basically, again, I'm asking, why was your family's advice more important than your friend's advice? This is the question you should be asking yourself. I'm giving you 3 answers, like I'm providing 3 answers on your behalf. You could say, well, number 1, my family members' advice is more important because they are older and thus more experienced than my friends, which is why I think their advice would be more helpful. So here your focus is on their being more experienced. Now I changed the color of these central parts so that you can read them more clearly. A second point you could add, Aytan, to make your paragraph more convincing is this. Additionally, because of their passionate feelings for me, my family gives a more considerate advice than my friends do. And number 3, finally, because my family knows me more than my friends, they can give me better advice. So you could basically add these, just 1, 2, or maybe all 3, and then develop them to make the paragraph stronger. Okay, these are what we call subpoints. So basically this is your main point. You're saying, look, in my culture and in my family, people get advice from their family more, and I do so as well. I get advice from my family because it is a cultural thing for you, apparently. So what are some subpoints that you use to support your answer? These are your subpoints, or any other thing like this. Now, I highly encourage you to use a personal example to make the case lucid, to make the case clear. Personal examples always help, and they're easy to write. I'm going to give you an example myself. Now, I'm going to paste it up here. Give a personal example illustrating this. That means the point you are trying to make in this paragraph. This could be one example you could use. For example, when I was in high school, I broke up with my boyfriend and got into depression. My friends suggested that I immediately find a new one, a new boyfriend. My family, however, suggested that I give myself a break and think about the things that had happened to me. I took my family's advice. 2 weeks later, my boyfriend came back to me and apologized. We made peace and got married a couple of years later. Now we have 2 beautiful kids. A very happy ending. If I had taken my young and unexperienced friend's advice, all this would not have happened. So I took my family's advice and it worked well. So here I wrote this example. I'm going to connect it back to the question. I'm going to say the reason for this is that my family is more experienced, they are more passionate, and they know me better than my friends. So what are the three items that I have written here? They are basically this, this, and this. I gave an example and then I connected it back to the main point, to the subpoints I introduced in this paragraph. So if you put this together, this is going to be a very strong paragraph, a very convincing paragraph actually. But of course, you're not going to put the paragraph like this. I'm showing these bullet points so that they are clearer for you. You're going to have to connect them back and make a block paragraph like this one. So the main point of this paragraph was this. I mostly get advice from my family because it's a cultural thing for me. And I get like the most important decisions from my family, not from friends. Apparently it's something cultural to Aitan. Let's see what main point she's giving us in the second support paragraph. Okay, she says, when I started the university and moved from Zonguldak to Ankara, I met different friends, culture all over the Turkey, and then all over the world. My point of view started to change. So clearly she's setting some background, but let's fix the sentence first. Aytan, when you're writing, consider this. The person who will be reading your essay will not necessarily be from Turkey. So you got to make it clear what these words mean. So I know what they mean. They are apparently two cities in Turkey. But your readers might not, so make it clear for them. Now, when I started the university and moved from this to this, two cities in Turkey, I met different friends. I'm gonna delete that comma and introduce this. So you met different friends and culture all over Turkey. You don't need this this country name. And then all over the world. So I think what she's trying to say is this. From all over Turkey and then all over the world. Okay. My point of view started to change. All right. You could make this shorter by saying that my point of view changed. So because starting is not what you want to emphasize here. The important part is this change word. Starting is not the point. There you go. Okay. As I witness more different changes, my own view of the world began to be my own advice to myself. Okay, this is an interesting sentence. So you got lots of experience and you acquired a worldview, and that worldview gives you advice. Oh, nice play on words. Now, look, nowadays it should be like this. Nowadays, we have lots of communications tools and much more experience and informations flow us from all over the world and also out of the world. I have no idea what you mean by out of the world, but this is a weird phrase. Delete it. Unless you're doing some spiritual stuff, we don't know what you're talking about. Let's first correct your sentence. Delete this. Delete this. Okay. Nowadays we have lots of communication tools and much more experience. Comma. You pointed to two things. And information flows to us from all over the world. All right. So what you're saying is that the information, the communication age is helping you to come up with your worldview. The smartphones offer us the advice we need. Many people easily give advice and take advice via smartphones and its applications. All right, so she's referring to one more tool here. Our changes of consulting valuable people, celebrities, and professionals have increased. Let's first correct the sentence. Okay, now let's see what she's trying to say. Our changes of consulting valuable people, celebrities, and professionals have increased. I think what she's trying to say is this. Now, make it clear. These days, more than before, we consult with famous people, celebrities, and professionals. Fellows, just a point here. There are three items here: people, celebrities, and professionals. Some systems of writing say it's okay to put one comma here and no comma here, but some of the systems are having problems with this. So when you have X, Y, Z, go like X, comma, Y, comma, and Z. Be on the safe side. So she has been consulting famous people, all right. Before making a decision, a lot of alternatives come forward apart from family and friends. Again, the same story. Instead of using nouns, which you saw this in those three videos, concision, clarity, cohesion, again, I will add the links in the description. Watch those videos. They're going to help a lot because there I'm explaining why I'm making such changes here. Here, I don't have time to explain everything. Learn those skills. Now, this is a noun phrase, so I'm going to change this to a verb one. A lot of alternatives come forward apart from family and friends, okay? She's trying to say that other than family and friends, there are lots of alternative advice that comes from like celebrities, professionals, other famous people, her cell phone apparently. When we seek advice, trustworthiness is also important. There should be a comma here. Look, when you speak, you don't speak back to back like a robot. You speak, pause, and continue. So whenever you pause, you should put a comma. Let's look at my last sentence. You speak, I went silent. Pause, I went silent. And continue. So I should have put comma, comma, and the sentence would have been much clearer. So you should do the same here. When we seek advice, pause. Trustworthiness is also important. Social media, TV, smartphones is full of people who advise everything. Give us advice on everything regardless of their competence. Okay, now she's shifting directions. Look, here she said, look, the central point was this. This is her main point in this paragraph. She's saying, look, after some experience, instead of getting advice from other people, I get advice from myself. Then she gave details on how she makes that decision. She says, look, I use my phone, I use the applications in my phone. I check the social media, for example, like connecting with celebrities, professionals, and other people. And I put all of these together and make my own decisions. my worldview, as she said here, makes my decisions. Okay, so far she was elaborating on that. Now she's pointing to a drawback, to a negative point. She's saying, yeah, there are lots of people to get advice from, like the previous sentence, but she's going to change direction. So I suggest, Aitan, you use transitions to show that you are getting into something negative. Social media, and because we may change this sentence, social media, TV, smartphones is full of people who give advice on everything regardless of their competence. In fact, it is important from whom to get advice. It is important to know from whom to get advice. Or basically you could say, well, we should be careful from whom we are getting advice. The person or resource giving the advice is as important as the advice you receive. All right. Okay, so far, Aitan, you're giving details and then you're warning us of the drawbacks. But my recommendation is this. Give an example here illustrating this. How should I be careful, and why actually should I be careful about those people? What you need to do is this. You should give an example which shows, for example, or for instance, that you took advice from a random person in a website and it ended bad for you because he was not the expert he claimed he was. Now, if you inject this information here, this paragraph will be more convincing because some people need examples as illustrations to understand the points you're trying to make. They do not read your mind, they see what is on paper. Make it easier for them. Let's continue. There is a lot of advice about our life, work, education, health, family, and their safety. Comma, please. When we look at the history, the important personalities like Fatih Sultan, Mehmed Sultan, Melik Shah had an advisor and grew up with them. Mr. A and Mr. N was great figures, so that Fatih, Mehmed Sultan, and Melik was powerful to manage their country. All right, this is not clear what you're doing here. You're apparently giving an example, but what is exactly the point you're trying to make? You're saying that two kings, apparently, as I understand, had, I don't know, advisors. Okay. Does that answer the question? Do you get advice from family or friends? No, this doesn't answer the question whatsoever. So what I'm gonna do is to upset you with this. Delete it. We don't want that. Every sentence you write, you should be asking yourself this. Am I answering the question? This sentence does not. Now, but this paragraph could be pulled together. You pointed to lots of things. You could have made them shorter. You don't need to get into this many items to support your main point. So basically your argument is this. I get advice from myself, from my experience, from my worldview. And then you could have given me a short example to warn me about the dangers. That could have been fine. All right, this paragraph is clearly better than the previous one. So let's get back and finish the introduction I promised to finish in the beginning. Now, this introduction does not answer the question and it does not give us the main points. Let's handle that. Deciding something, the person from whom we get advice is important. Now we should answer the question and give reasons. But my recommendation is always try to repeat the question. When somebody reads your essay without knowing the question, they should understand what question you're wrestling with. So give the question in the beginning and make it easy for the reader. So I'm doing it all, copy, So I have done it all here. Boom. So some got advice from their family, others get advice from their friends. You can paraphrase this, you can use other words. I get advice from my family because of cultural inclinations. This was Aitan's main point 1 in this paragraph. Here. Where's culture? Here. And second, I also get advice from myself, she says, because I have lots of resources I can use to decide on something. So now this is a proper introduction. You gave some background and then you answered the question. First you repeated the question, you answered the question, and then you gave me your reasons. But do not explain things in detail here. Just touch upon them. That is going to be enough. Now, let's go to conclusion. Conclusion. Advice and whom give advice is important in our life journey. Advice and the person I made it easy for you. Advice and the person giving the advice are both important in our life journey. It is necessary to take and apply the advice, according in the combination of accumulation, experience, intellectual level, and reliability. Aishan, this sentence needs help. Make it easier. It is necessary to take and apply the advice according. I think you're trying to say this. According to the combination of accumulation already means combination. Delete this whole thing. Combination of experience, intellectual level. Put a comma here, and reliability. Okay, so far I understand this, but experience was your basically second paragraph, and reliability was also your second paragraph. So where is your first paragraph? Your family. You do not address that. And what is this intellectual level? This is something new you're introducing in the conclusion. And it is something that you were not discussing in your support paragraph, so I'm going to delete this. Do not add anything new in conclusion paragraph. Conclusion is the summary of what you already have stated. We don't need something new here. Get rid of it. Also, include the family part here. I consult my friends, my family, adults who loves me separately after getting some advice from various people and sources. Okay, this is a troubling sentence. I consult my friends. I'm gonna delete this. And my family. Adults who love me. Separately, I have no idea what you're saying here. Adults who love me. Okay. Put a comma here. Actually, let's put a semicolon because the next sentence is a little bit not so relevant. After getting some advice from various people and sources. I think what she's trying to say, I consult my friends, my family, and my family who love me, and I make decisions after I receive advice from several people around me. I think that's what she's trying to say. So you see, Aitan and everyone watching this, we do not know what is going on in your mind. We just see the paper. make it clear for us. As you can see, this is a very confusing sentence. It takes us 2-3 takes to understand what's going on here. Don't do this to us or to anyone. Express yourself shortly and easily. I should understand it by just reading it once. So I consult my friends and my family, that also love me. Well, we don't care if they love you or not in your conclusion paragraph. The paragraph is not for love, the paragraph is for a summary of what you have discussed. Delete the details. I consult my friends and my family. So you want to say this. Also, I decide on things after getting some advice from various people and sources. And comparing them, maybe, could be, yeah, this makes the sentence clearer. Okay, that's all. Now, as you see, I pointed to some grammatical mistakes, I pointed to some reasoning mistakes, and I pointed out how difficult it is for the reader to try to read your mind. Don't do that. The reader should not be wrestling with reading your mind. Everything should be clear on paper. All right. So if you take a quick look at this essay, I was correcting this and giving feedback meticulously. In the exam, I don't care what exam it is that you're taking, TOEFL, IELTS, GRE, GMAT, SATs. They're not gonna do this. They're not gonna go this meticulous. They are just going to read your essay and give it a score. That's all. The reason I'm butchering your essay, I'm making surgery in your essay so carefully is for you to understand what we are looking for and what you should put in your essays. Now, lots of things I did here are a little bit strange to you because you do not know the reasons of. To understand why I cut some parts which sound very natural to you and why I added some other parts which may sound strange to you, watch these 3 videos: clarity, cohesion, concision. I have made separate videos on all 3 of them. They are incredible writing skills from a very famous book. I'm gonna put the links in the description. Go and watch them. They are the butter and bread of your writings. They're gonna help you a lot in your writings, and you will be able to do these things yourself. Additionally, and this is even more important than the previous ones, so far I wasn't teaching you any systems whatsoever. I was just correcting the essay. Now, to understand what system I suggest you write with, to learn writing the essay, no matter what essay it is, TOEFL IBT, GRE, IELTS, or just a class essay, I have prepared a video. The name is Issue or Independent Essay Guide. Don't look at the name, it's not just for TOEFL or for the GRE. It's applicable to any similar exams, or like I said, even your class papers. So watch that. There I'm teaching you how to write. Here I was just giving feedback. Now, what you need to do is this. First, go watch those videos. Second, start writing. Do many practices so you feel comfortable with writing. Afterwards, and this is the most important step, have a professional give feedback on your writings. As you can see, when Aitam was writing this, it's not that she wanted to make these mistakes. The reason for making these mistakes is that she doesn't see what her problems are. Like, I should point out, look, this is problem, this is problem, this is problem. Now, after realizing this, after having someone give feedback on her essays a couple of times, her vision is going to be sharper in writing. From that moment on, she will be able to see these things herself. But at first, you need someone to open your eyes to writing. Yes, there was someone opening my eyes to writing. A professor in a philosophy department in which I'm a graduate student helped me this way, reading my essays,
correcting them meticulously. This comma shouldn't be here. This comma should be here. The same exact thing that I did to Aitan's essay. Now, after a couple of times, after a couple of essays, yeah, I started to see things myself. I promise you, you're going to be able to do that yourself as well. It's going to take some practice, but you're going to carry these skills for the rest of your life, both in educational and vocational life.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe to help the channel, and stay tuned for the next videos.